fast can you run?
As fast as a leopard.
How fast are you going to run?
As fast as a leopard.
It's over. Enough! Enough! That's why I'm here! That's why I came!
Carpe diem.
Oh.
I'm so lit right now. Okay, okay, okay. Ugh.
So who is Peter Weir, and why is he important? So as people, we admire those who have achieved something that is impressive, and come from a similar background, like Australia. Born in Sydney in 1944, Weir studied arts and law at the University of Sydney, where he began making short films with the collective known as Boo Boo Films. He dropped out and travelled around Europe before coming home, heavily influenced by 1960s European cinema, and with a strong viewpoint against the Vietnam War, a theme which he would later explore in his film Gallipoli. Weir took jobs with Channel 7 and Film Australia, which established him to continue making short films before finding success with his short film Incredible Floridas, and steady work as a writer on the hugely successful Auntie Jack show.
I mean, I reacted against all kinds of authority in school and university. I was completely one of those type of poor students who didn't respond to the discipline.
After his first feature, The Cars That Ate Paris, Weir directed Picnic at Hanging Rock, which was how he became one of the most sought after directors and defined the rest of his career.
You know, growing up without television, you know, so it was radio. And as well as that, my father was a very good storyteller, but he'd tell me stories at night, and radio, you know, plays, and particularly The Goon Show, for my generation, just very formative. So I think my first sort of unknowing steps toward what would be a life was really sound, but particularly stories without images.
Weir's characters are focused on the question of the reality of their situation. Isolation is their main obstacle. Whether they are mentally isolated, like in Picnic at Hanging Rock, and then later The Truman Show, or culturally isolated, like in Witness with the Amish. How characters deal with this isolation is often by recognising their own identity, cultural or personal, that enables them to overcome this obstacle. Often Weir will leave the question open with the audience, so as to whether the protagonist was successful. Weir has contempt for commercialism and material concepts. This is apparent in films such as Witness, Mosquito Coast, and down to extreme in The Truman Show. Weir uses cars with interior shots in all his contemporary set films to create this connection between characters. Weir will often show optimism from his characters in his films.
But for me, music, I didn't mention in the talk, is probably the most primary tool I use in script, shoot and cut. I play it against dailies, I play it against cuts where I turn the sound down, just play music. I make up CDs. So what music does for you is shut down the intellect. Now that music can be anything, and in fact the collections I get round a film are quite odd, even to me. I'll think, that's interesting, I need that, I need this. Mostly non-vocal, unless they're African or a language I don't understand, but rarely are they in English. And so from that music, I'll say, this piece of music has that emotion.
Who's setting an extremely high bar and who really thinks it matters a lot, you know, whether or not the cup goes like that or like that, because it's an accumulation. Peter used to say this thing about it's like a sailboat. Every true moment, every beautiful thing, every honest thought puts wind in the sail. And every fake moment, and every cheat, and every lie is a little tear, right? And you can sustain some of them. A few tears, you can. The ship will still move. To do something amazing, it's got to be no tears.
I think when I go into the cinema, I want the unreality. I don't want to make it too real.
Sugar man, won't you hurry? 'Cause I'm tired of these scenes. For a blue coin, won't you bring back